other way.
What's going on, guys? Greek Freak here, and in this video we're going to be talking about the huge trade that just went down, being Russell Westbrook being traded to the Houston Rockets. Now, as we all know, I've obviously made videos on it, that there was definitely rumors going around with the Miami Heat, and I mentioned the fact that the Houston Rockets would be the one team I would say that was actually in for the hunt in the Western Conference. So as far as this doesn't 100% catch me by surprise, even though I am a little bit of questioning of this direct decision. But as far as this, what did happen was the fact that the Miami Heat were very close on making a trade, but in order to do this, they had to move around a little bit of salary with Goran Dragic, and the Dallas Mavericks were not agreeing onto a deal due to the fact of miscommunication as far as what they were expecting to get out of the deal. It canceled out, and the Houston Rockets jumped onto the opportunity to get Russell Westbrook. And Russell Westbrook is definitely interested in this. Now, for the Thunder, they have gotten to receive Chris Paul, 2 first-round draft picks, and 2 first-round draft picks that you can swap out. So depending on which team does better, now the swap is in 2021 and in 2025, and then the other ones are 2023 and 2026. But with that being the case there, we definitely have the fact that the Thunder are going to have lots of draft picks, and many people, of course, thinking about what's going to happen with the Thunder, but I believe the fact that they'll do fine with these draft picks in many cases. Many people do forget the fact that the Thunder have been one of the best organizations when it comes to drafting players. Of course, their one problem is what we are, of course, seeing right now, which is maintaining those players. Now, for the Rockets, their main problem is going to be the part that we all are going to be looking at, which is that usage rate, with James Harden leading the league with 39.6% of usage rate, and Russell Westbrook, of course, not a low usage rate player himself, at 30.1, at 15th in the league whenever we talk about last season's usage rate. So whenever we're talking about this, of course, we're also going to be talking about 2 MVPs joining each other, which has only happened 2 other times in history, with that being Moses Malone and Dr. J, and of course Stephen Curry and Kevin Durant. Now, we all know the difference which is going to be between these 2 players that we have never seen as far as 2 MVP players playing, is 2 players playing the exact same position going onto the same team. Now, the one good thing that I definitely have to mention for this trade is going to be the fact that the Houston Rockets were able to maintain their 3-point shooting with players like Eric Gordon, a great player that come off the bench that can score the basketball. They didn't lose PJ Tucker. They didn't lose a lot of pieces in there. Now, will this be the direct roster that we see going into the year? Maybe there's some smaller changes that they do make, but I believe the fact that this is most likely going to be the main sort of heart and soul of this team that's going to be going into this season. Now, with this, I think the fact that if you think about it, if you're the Houston Rockets, I can see where this gamble is definitely a better off position. Now, many people have been talking about the Russell Westbrook contract situation, considering the fact that he will be getting a lot of money, and we know the fact that Russell Westbrook is a very dependent player on his athleticism, and we saw a little bit of what happened whenever he was dealing with that injury and wasn't able to really move around the same way that we usually expected. And whenever his free throw shooting wasn't doing good, he really had struggled on the offensive end in liability type situations. But as far as this, we do know the fact that not only that, the one question mark is, of course, with Chris Paul being on that team was one, we obviously heard the drama that was going on between the two. And then not only that, you also have the fact that Chris Paul is signed to a very bad contract. So as far as what the Thunder are going to do with the Chris Paul situation, obviously he's not going to be wanting to stay there. So maybe you look for another trade that's going to be happening later on. Now, due to the fact that they did trade, do not expect a trade to happen soon, as they do have to wait for a certain amount of time in order to make that trade possible. Once you get a player, you cannot just trade them back to back. They would either have to buy him out, which would be very unlikely considering the fact of his contract, or they're going to wait the time out, see if anybody's interested in the contract, and then try to do that. And if not, they're most likely going to move players like Steven Adams, which has already been reported that they're looking for trades there. So whenever we look at something like that, I think the fact that they're definitely going to try to get out of the luxury tax there. But of course, once again, Houston Rockets, I think the fact that this, of course, is going to be a different look for them. I think the fact that this shows the fact that the reports were right, that Chris Paul and James Harden were just not looking eye to eye after that loss that had happened in the playoffs, and it was really something. I think the fact that they tried to cover it back up, but I think the fact if you made this trade, you had to have had a feeling the fact that this was the case. If it was a very repairable situation and over-exaggerated by the media, you would just maintain this team and go back into it. But instead, they're going to be moving him to Oklahoma City, and we're going to have to see what he's going to do there. Now, as far as with Russell Westbrook and James Harden fitting together, obviously you're talking about two high usage rate players that is going to be very hard to try to play the exact same style of play that they have been playing. The main question is definitely going to have to be who's going to have to be the main ball handler. And in this situation, I have to imagine that it's going to have to be Russell Westbrook, just due to the fact he does not have the three-point shot that James Harden has. If you have a player like Russell Westbrook standing around, you're talking about a player who really can't help out on the offensive end if he's just standing around on the court. Now, maybe he can move around a little bit and try to make cuts to the basket, but I don't really see that being a very helpful thing. I think the fact James Harden is going to have to switch back over to the shooting guard position and have to help out as far as three-point shooting, maybe a pick-and-roll action with him. But as far as this, I think the fact that you're going to see them try to switch out the load as far as what's going to happen, but I believe the fact the best thing to do would be to have Russell Westbrook at point majority of the time ball handling, and then James Harden can sort of come in off of different screen actions and things such as that to be able to get open looks, try to move off the offense a little bit more, just due to the fact that Russell Westbrook is a poor three-point shooter, unless, of course, he shows something as far as a good three-point shooting, which he did shoot 34% from three his MVP season. But, of course, that has steadily been going down as the years have been going on, and he does take high-volume three-point shots. So he's going to have to take less three-point shots there. But guys, tell me what you guys' thoughts are on this trade. Which team do you think did good in this trade? I think the fact that, as far as the situation, I do have to think the fact that the Thunder did a good thing is in trading Russell Westbrook to a team he wanted to go to. But guys, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure that you guys leave a like and subscribe to become part of the Greek Army today. And as always, this is Sparta.